Hello, it is February 5th, and we are going to read from Exodus 21:22 through 23:13, Matthew 24, 1 through 28, Psalms 29, 1 through 12, and Proverbs 7, 6 through 23. Like we'd like to do every night, we're going to do the Lord's Prayer, so join in with me if you would like. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Let's get started with Exodus. Put my specs on. 21:22 through 23:13. When there's a fight, and in the fight of pregnant woman is hit so that she miscarriages, but is not otherwise hurt, the one responsible has to pay whatever the husband demands in compensation. But if there is further damage, then you must give life for life and eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. If a slave owner hits the eye of a slave or handmaid and ruins it, the owner must let the slave go free because of the eye. If the owner knocks out the tooth of a male or female slave, the slave must be released and go free because of the tooth. If an ox gores a man or woman to death, the ox must be stoned. The meat cannot be eaten by the owner of the ox is and the owner of the ox is in the clear. But if the ox has a history of goring and the owner knew it and did nothing to guard against it, then if the ox kills a man or woman, the ox is to be stoned and the owner given the death penalty. That's a lot. If a ransom is agreed upon instead of death, he must pay it in full as a redemption for his life. If a son or daughter is gored, the same judgment holds. If it is a slave or a handmaid, the ox gores, the 30 shekels of silver is to be paid to the owner and the ox stoned. If someone uncovers a cistern or digs a pit and leaves it open, and an ox or donkey falls in it, the owner of the pit must pay whatever the animal is worth to the owner, but keep the dead animal. If someone's ox injures a neighbor's ox and the ox dies, they must sell the live ox and split the price. They must also split the dead animal. But if the ox has a history of goring and the owner knew it and did nothing to guard against it, the owner must pay an ox for an ox, but keep the dead animal. If someone steals an ox or a lamb or slaughters or sells it, the thief must pay 5 cattle in place of the ox and 4 sheep in the place of the lamb. If the thief is caught while breaking in and it is hit hard and dies, there is there is no blood guilt. But if it happens after daybreak, there is blood guilt. Let me fix this real quick. That's better. A thief must make full restitution for what is stolen. A thief who is unable to pay is to be sold for his thieving. If caught red handed with the stolen goods, and the ox or the donkey or the lamb is still alive, the thief pays double. If someone grazes livestock in a field or vineyard, but lets them loose so they graze in someone else's field, the restitution must be made for the best of the owner's field or vineyard. If a fire breaks out and spreads to the brush so that the sheaves of grain or the standing grain or even the whole field is burned up, whoever starts the fire must pay for the damages. If someone gives a neighbor money or things for safekeeping and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thief, if caught, must pay back double. If the thief is not caught, the owner must be brought before God to determine whether the owner was the one who took the neighbor's goods. In all cases of stolen goods, whether oxen, donkey, sheep, clothing, anything in fact missing, of which someone says, "That's mine," both parties must come before the judges. The one the judges pronounce guilty must pay double to the other. If someone gives a donkey or a lamb, any kind of animal, to another for safekeeping, and it dies, or is injured or lost, and there is no witness, an oath before God must be made between them to decide whether one has laid hands on the property of the other. The owner must accept this, and no damages are assessed. But if it turns out it was stolen, the owner must be compensated. If it has been torn by wild beasts, the torn animal must be brought in as evidence. No damages have to be paid. If someone borrows an animal from a neighbor and it gets injured or dies while the owner is not present, he must pay for it. But if the owner was with it, he doesn't have to pay. If the owner was hired, the payment covers the loss. If a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the marriage price and marry her. If the father absolutely refuses to give her away, the man must still pay the marriage price for virgins. Don't let a sorceress live. Anyone who has sex with an animal gets the death penalty. Anyone who sacrifices to a god other than God alone must be put to death. Don't abuse or take advantage of strangers. You remember, were once strangers in Egypt. Don't mistreat widows or orphans. If you do, and they cry out to me, you can be sure I'll take them most seriously. I'll show my anger and come raging among you with the sword, and your wives will end up widows and your children orphans. If you lend money to my people, to any of the down and out among you, don't come down hard on them and gouge them with interest. If you take your neighbor's coat as security, give it back before nightfall. It may be your neighbor's only covering. What else does the person have to sleep in? And if I hear the neighbor crying out from the cold, I'll step in. I'm compassionate. Don't curse God and don't damn your leaders. Don't be stingy as your wine vats fill up. Dedicated your firstborn sons to me. Dedicate your firstborn sons to me. The same with your cattle and sheep. They are to stay 7 days with their mother, and then give them to me. Be holy for my sake. Don't eat mutilated flesh you find in the fields. Throw it to the dogs. Don't pass on malicious gossip. Don't pass on malicious gossip. Don't link up with a wicked person and give corrupt testimony. Don't go along with the crowd in doing evil, and don't mess up your testimony in a case just to please the crowd. And just because someone is poor, don't show favoritism in a dispute. If you find your enemy's ox or donkey loose, take it back to him. If you see the donkey or someone who hates you lying helplessly under its load, don't walk off and leave it. Help it. When there is a dispute concerning your poor, don't tamper with the justice due them. Stay clear of false accusations. Don't contribute to the death of innocent and good people. I don't let the wicked off the hook. Don't take bribes. Bribes blind perfectly good eyes and twist the speech of the good people. Don't take advantage of a stranger. You know what it's like to be a stranger, and you were a stranger in Egypt. Sow your land for 6 years and gather its crops, but on the seventh year leave it alone and give it a rest so that your poor may eat from it. What they leave, let the wildlife have. Do the same. Let the wildlife have. Do the same with your vineyards and olive groves. For the 6 days and rest the seventh, so your ox and donkey may rest, and your servant and migrant workers may have time to get their needed rest. Listen carefully to everything I tell you. Don't pay up attention to other gods. Don't so as much mention their names. So the breakdown of Exodus 21:22 through 23:13 says, God lays out justice with accountability. Life is sacred. Responsibility matters, and power must never be abused. God cares deeply about how you treat one another, especially the vulnerable. He demands fairness, honesty, and compassion, reminding Israel that obedience isn't just spiritual, it's how you live daily. Blessing flows from righteousness. Blessing flows where righteousness is practiced, not just spoken. Make sure we're still going. Okay, Matthew 24, 1 through 28. Jesus then left the temple. As he walked away, his disciples joined. He pointed out to how very impressive the temple architecture was. Jesus said, You're not impressed by all this sheer size, are you? The truth of the matter is that there was not a stone in the building that is not going to end up in a pile of rubble. Later, he was sitting on Mount Olives. His disciples approached and asked him, Tell us, when are these things going to happen? What will the sign of your coming? What will be the sign of your coming? That's that the time's up. Jesus said, Watch out for doomsday deceivers. Many leaders are going to show up with forged identities, claiming, I am Christ the Messiah. They will deceive a lot of people. When reports come in of wars and rumored wars, keep your head and don't panic. This is routine history that is not the sign of the end. Nation will fight nations, and the ruler fight ruler, over and over. Famines and earthquakes will occupy in various places. This is nothing compared to what is coming. They're going to throw you to the wolves and kill you. anyone hating you because you can carry my name. And then, going from bad to worse, it will be a dog eat dog, everyone at each other's throat, everyone hating each other. In the confusion, lying preachers will come forward and deceive a lot of people. For many others, the overwhelming spread of evil will do them in. Nothing left of their love but a mound of ashes, staying with you. That's what God requires. Stay with it to the end. You won't be sorry and you'll be saved. All during this time, the good news, the message of the kingdom, will be preached all over the world. A witness a witness staked out in every country, and then he will, and then the end will come. Lord, it's one of those nights again, y'all. But be ready to run for it when you see the monster of desecration set up in the temple of sanctuary. The prophet Daniel described this. If you're if you've read Daniel, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you live if you're living in Judah at the time, run for the hills. If you're working in the yard, don't return to the house to get anything. If you're out in the field, don't go back to get your coat. Pregnant and nursing mothers will have it especially hard. Hope and pray they won't happen during the winter or on the Sabbath. This is going to be trouble on a scale beyond what the world has ever seen or will ever see again. If these days are trouble, if, if these days of trouble were left to run their course, nobody would make it. But on account of God's chosen people, the trouble will be cut short. If anyone tries to flag you down, calling out, "Here's the Messiah," or points, "There he is," don't fall for it. Fake messiahs or lying preachers are going to pop up everywhere. Their impressive credentials and bewitching performances will pull the wool over your eyes, or even those who ought to know better. But I've given you fair warning, so if they say, "Run to the country and see him arrive," or "Quick, get downtown to see him," don't give them the time of day. The arrival of the Son of Man isn't something you go see. He comes like swift lightning to you whenever you see crowds gathering. Think of carrion vultures circling, moving in, hovering over a rotting carcass. You can be quite sure that I'm not the living Son of Man pulling in these crowds. The breakdown of Matthew 24, 1 through 28 says Jesus warns about the end times. Deception, conflict, persecution, and tribulation will increase. The key message: don't be distracted or deceived. Stay alert, grounded, and faithful. The destruction of the temple foreshadows great judgment, but also God's sovereignty. Christ makes it clear truth won't be hidden, and his return will be unmistakable. Psalms 29, 1 through 11. Did I not put that on there? I did. Okay. Bravo, God, bravo. God and all angels shout encore. In awe before the glory, if awe between God's visible powers, stand at attention. Dress your best to honor him. God thunders across the waters, brilliant his voice and face streaming brightness. God across the floodwaters, God thunder triumphant, tympanic. God's thunder tympanic. God's thunder symphonic. God's thunder smashes cedars. God topples the northern cedars. The mountain ranges skip like spring colts. The high ridges jump like wild goats. God's thunder spits fire. God's thunder, the wilderness quakes. He makes the desert of Kadesh shake. God's thunder sets the oak trees dancing. A wild dance, whirling and pelting rain, strips their branches. We fall to our knees. We call out glory. Above the flood waters is God's throne, for which his powers flow, for which he rules the world. God makes his people strong. God gives his people peace. The breakdown of Psalms 29, 1 through 11 says the psalm magnifies the power of the authority of God's voice. His voice thunders over water, shakes mountains, breaks cedars, and commands creation itself. Yet the same powerful God blesses his people with peace. Reverence him, because the one who controls chaos also provides strength and calm. Lastly, Proverbs 7, 6 through 23 is, I stood at the window of my house, looking out through the shutters, watching the mindless crowd stroll by. I spotted a young man without any sense, arriving at the corner of the street where she lived, then turned up the path to her house. It was dusk, the evening coming on, the darkness thickening into night. Just then a woman who met him. She had been lying in wait for him, dressed to seduce him. Brazen and brash she was, restless and roaming. Never at home, walking the streets, loitering in the mall, hanging out at every corner in town. She threw her arms around him and kissed him. Boldly, boldly took his arms and said, "I've got all the makings for a feast. Today I made an offering. My vows are all paid. So now I've come to find you, hoping to catch sight of your face. And here you are. I've spread flesh, clean sheets on my. I've spread fresh, clean sheets on my bed, colorful imported linens. My bed is aromatic with spices and exotic fragrances. Come, let me make love all night. Spend the night in ecstatic lovemaking. My husband's not home. He's away on business, and he won't be back for a month. Soon she has him eating out of her hand, bewitched by her honeyed speech. Before you know it, he's trotting behind her, like a calf led to the butcher shop, like a stag lured to ambush, and then shot with an arrow, like a bird flying into a net, not knowing that its flying life is over. So the breakdown of Proverbs 7:6 to 23 says Lord, it's a sober warning against temptation and sexual sin. The young man thinks he's in control, but desire blinds him. Sin is portrayed as attractive, persuasive, and deadly. The lesson is wisdom isn't knowing right from wrong, it's avoiding the path altogether. What looks pleasurable today can destroy tomorrow. A little tongue tied tonight. Apologize. It's a little later in the day. It's been a long day. It feels like a Monday, but it is not today. So, guys, I love you. If no one told you today, I love you. Have a better than good day, and we'll see you all tomorrow.